Whoops. So here's a little side project I have going, which is something for myself. I bought this body a couple years ago on Guitar Fetish. It's a nice body. I think it's made out of basswood. Nice and sparkly. And I have an American Standard Strat neck that was given to me. Right now I have some Spurzle locking tuners on it. So I'm going to put the neck on. It lined up, surprisingly. The neck attachment holes lined up with the holes in the neck, which is not usually the case. If I was doing this from scratch, I would do the holes in the body first and then use that to locate the holes in the neck. And when I checked it, everything lined up, so there you go. All right, now we're not there. I wasn't down all the way. Okay, so there's our neck. I'm going to be installing a Wilkinson bridge. I like Wilkinson bridges. I've been using one on a Parker P38. They work really nice. They stay in tune. It's a nice looking bridge. I think it's very ingenious, the whole system, the way it works. I have plotted out where I'm going to drill the holes, which are 25 1/4 from the nut. This was a test pick guard I made, which doesn't have the neck pocket cut out all the way yet. So this was the idea originally. I was going to put 3 single coils. I had these nice chrome Strat covers. They look like Tele pickups, but they're actually Strat pickups. I was going to put 3 of those. I did all 3 straight because, why not? There's absolutely no reason to be angling the bridge pickup to make the treble strings even thinner. If anything, angle it the other way, but I put them all straight. Now, however, I'm thinking I'm going to do 2 humbuckers because that's what I normally play. And this is going to be a guitar for me to use on stage. I don't use the middle pickup on a Strat. I don't like the 2 and 4 positions very much, so I'm not putting in a middle pickup. This is actually going to be the plastic used. Let's see if I can get that close to the camera, which is it's black with gold sparkle. That's going to be the pick guard. Even though I have chrome hardware, who says you can't mix gold and silver? Nobody says that. So this is my little side project. I might want to refret it. I think I'm going to because the frets are a little worn. They're not too bad. I guess this is a 12-inch radius, which is okay. I don't like them tighter than that. I haven't actually checked it, but I believe it is. It's a 1 11/16 nut width, which I like. I like wider necks. I may put a roller nut on this, since I have the Spurzle locking tuners and everything. I have a string tree on here, which I may not need. But this is going to be a project I'm starting. It's my spare time project. I have several other things I'm doing at the moment. I'm making some pick guards. I'll bring it over here. I'm making some pick guards for a Jazzmaster and a St. Vincent guitar. I have that plastic. I may or may not film that. And of course, I have the other stuff I've been doing. But this is the beginning of a little side project. It should be interesting. And I started working on it the other day, and then I thought, I should probably do a video on it. Why not? People like seeing all kinds of stuff. I'll probably do a video on making the pick guards rather than just, I do stuff. I did some work on an old Daon bass from the 80s. I didn't film any of that. It's kind of a nuisance sometimes filming things because the camera's in the way and all this kind of stuff. But I'm sure a lot of people like putting, parts guitars together. So we're gonna do that. So the next thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna drill the 2 holes. I was when I put the bridge. I was looking to make sure that at that distance, it'll both work. And of course the saddles have a little bit more forward travel, but they shouldn't need it because, you go 25 and a half and then you have to go back a little bit, which compensates for the string stretching when you push it down is the reason why you need to move the saddles back, because when you press the string down, it's just like bending a string sideways. It makes the intonation sharp. So you move the saddle back. Okay, so the next deal is to drill a couple of holes. The posts for this bridge are 10 millimeters. Posts. I'll probably drill something about 8 millimeters. Like I said, I think this is basswood, so it's fairly soft. It's not terribly heavy. It might be poplar too. I'm not really sure. I don't think I have any metric drill bits, but I have lots of number and letter size drills, so I should be able to find something in the ballpark that's close enough for this. And I may have I have a few metric drill bits I use for things, so I may have one, but I need about an 8 millimeter or whatever that would come out to in inches, because I work in the imperial system for various reasons. I use both. I go back and forth. So next we're going to drill some holes. Just as a correction on this, I actually have to drill 3/8 of an inch holes is what they suggest to use. Is that close to 8 millimeters? I don't know. First I'm going to do make sure that's the holes I'm looking at. I drew lines down here. Sawdust. I do lines down here from the I put the neck on. I put a ruler alongside the outside of the neck to find. That's not a good punch. To find the outside lines here, and then this line is 25 1/4, and I'm going to use this punch to make a mark. I'll take it over to the drill press. So here's a new camera angle, so my elbows won't be in the way. I discovered that 3/8 was too small, and 8 millimeters was way too small. 3/8 was bigger. This is 25/64, and I drilled a test hole, and it fits snugly, so it should press in nicely. So now I'm going to drill a hole in the body. I should probably use a center drill first. As soon as I find my center drills. Here they are. These are really for like the tailstock on a lathe, but they work good. And of course, now I lost my chuck key. Here it is. I always keep it on the top with a magnet. Mysteries of working on guitars. I've somehow bloodied myself. I don't know where or how I did that. I mean, it's very minor, but the one in the palm actually hurts quite a bit. I don't know why. Okay, this drill press, the quill goes up and down, and the chuck has some run out in it. It's a very old drill press, and I would kind of like to actually replace it. And this might not even be high enough to do that, and I can't really move the table up because it weighs a ton. But I may have to. That's the other problem. This doesn't have your crank like on modern drill presses, and this is just a huge heavy cast iron table. That's still not gonna work, but that's why we got little wooden blocks for. This is also not even the right. I mean, I have an auxiliary table on here, but the cast iron table on this drill press is not the right table for this old Delta Rockwell drill press. There we go. Yeah, I would say this is basswood. It looks like basswood. I'm going to attempt to smell the wood to see what kind of wood it is, but I can't smell anything. I've had a constant sinus thing for about 10 years. So my sense of smell is very marginal. Now the big question, there it is. What do I do with the drill bit? Drill bit. With the drill. Machinists will get mad at you if you say drill bits. But I'm not a machinist, so I don't care. We have drill bits, we have router bits. Drill motor. And let's see about how far do we want to go down. I'll put some more tape on it. I could go and set the depth stop and all that, but this is the easy way. So this is what we'll do. Just a little bit of tape. I'm not sure what that was for originally, but I was drilling something. I was drilling something and I don't know what it was. We'll go about, I should do it. I'm gonna go a little deeper than the actual part. I just want to make sure that's centered. Okay. there's our 2 stud holes. Oh, you see that? Because it's much softer wood, that fits right in there. How about that? Yeah. Like I said, there's as I said, there's probably a little run out in this drill chuck too, because it's really old. The whole drill press is really, really old. So that's that. Now we're back over here. Oh, knocking stuff out. This workshop is a total disaster area. I mean, absolutely terrible. But that's because I've actually been very busy doing repair work. I do repair work and rewiring and setups and the usual stuff. And I don't make videos on everything. My plan was to make videos on on the more major jobs. That's absolutely ridiculous. But, you know, people like to see this stuff too. And I have clients that are going to be bringing me instruments to assemble for them. Maybe this maple block will help. Maybe not. I don't know why that hole's so much tighter than the other one. Maybe I didn't go down as much. Let me see if I can press it in with the drill press. Okay, so I pulled the stud out. I drilled the hole slightly deeper, and in we go. It's a bit easy to pull out. I may end up gluing them in just to be on the safe side. But otherwise, I mean, it should be fine with the lateral force. Now, basswood and similar woods have a tendency to crush after a while. Is this the right range for that? Yeah. So hopefully that doesn't happen here. And there's our bridge. Bridge studs aren't down enough, but there we go. There's our bridge. So the next things are to, of course, I have to install the claw for the springs and strap buttons when that time comes. But that was the nerve-wracking part, getting the holes drilled for the bridge. And I think I'm going to refret this neck. The frets are, I don't know if I can get them on camera here. They're a little worn. I mean, they're not bad looking. They're big frets. So I don't know. Maybe I'll try dressing them. I like wide frets. They don't have to be super tall. See, some of these are kind of flat, like right here. I always kind of really liked the mid-70s Gibson frets. They had the really wide kind of flat frets. I know a lot of people don't like those, but I kind of like them. Not fretless wonder frets, but just not super duper tall, because then they feel like speed bumps. So, you know, I have the frets. I have the ability. Might as well do it, and I can clean up this fretboard, give it a nice surface. I also contemplated maybe flattening it too. Oh, I see a hump here too on the end. Oh yeah, has the usual hump. Oh yeah, it's getting quite thick right here. So I think definitely it is time. It's a slab fretboard. It is time to dress this fretboard. I don't know if you can see it. There's definitely a hump right here, and it's actually thicker. I can see it's thicker right here. So yeah, okay, so that's the next step. The next step would be pull the frets and dress the fretboard flat. The neck isn't particularly straight either. I might have to loosen the truss rod a little. It seems to be up-bowed a little. Yeah, I can see it. A lot of people, oh, you can't slide down the fretboard and see if the neck needs the... Yeah, you can see it right there. You see it right there? You see the up-bow? You can see the up-bow right there. I can see it. So it has a bit of an up-bow. Of course, tightening the truss rod should fix that. Does the truss rod even work in this neck? I have no idea. It looks like it's from 1998. American, I guess an American standard Strat neck. So yeah, let me try the truss rod and I'll see how that goes. Don't want to lose these. Some of these are loose. That's not a good thing. Okay, so that'll be the next step. So I decided to refret this neck. Also, it's seems to have a little bit of a ski jump at the end, which is a real common thing on bolt-on necks. There's always a lot of debate. I can't really see it now, though. There's always a lot of debate on why that happens. And, you know, people talk about moisture getting into the screw holes, and I don't know if that's ever really made a lot of sense. But Ken Parker, who I think was a very brilliant luthier, his idea was that you're dealing with a change in geometry here. So the neck is round, and then all of a sudden the neck gets square. And obviously this would be much harder to bend than this part. So you end up with a hinge right here. So you end up getting a hinge effect going on, which would bend this part of the neck up. And then when you make that straight, that looks like a ski jump. That makes sense. And he went on to the first Parker flies had a finger joint neck, so it was kind of like put together like that. And then, so you never had this hinging action. Later Parker flies, the neck continued to be round all the way to the body, so the neck pocket was concave. And then, of course, his own guitars did not have a flat portion. The neck was round all the way up and then was attached to a post, which attached to the carbon fiber inside the neck. Anyway, last night, before I went home, I removed the nut. I think I'm going to put a roller nut in here, which requires making the slot slightly wider, but we'll worry about that when we get there. And I pulled one fret out, and I did not heat the frets up, and I pulled out a lot of rosewood. And I should know better than rushing. So today is a new day, and we're going to do it the right way. And my bench is still a bit of a mess, so I really wish I had one of those little metal fret things you stick in there to go between the fret tang to help with the chip outs, but I don't have one. And I suppose I should get one. So I have my iron here set at 400 degrees Celsius, which I think is like, I don't know, 800 degrees Fahrenheit. I don't know. I don't use a special iron for this. And of course, some people put solder on your frets, which could, my solder is always tangled, which could help conduct the heat a little better, and I will do a little of that. I don't normally do that. Sometimes I do. It depends. It's a good trick when you're trying to unsolder something like an electronic part, and it doesn't want to unsolder, and the trick is to put a little fresh solder on there. Unless, of course, it's lead-free solder, which is just really, really awful stuff. It just really is. And let's see what we got. I realize my hand's probably in the way, but that's, you know. I probably need to get fancy and have a totally overhead camera setup, which I do not have. This is all very low-tech production. It's my iPhone 14 on a really old tripod that my brother gifted me. He's a professional photographer and a professor of photography, and at a college in New York. And I said to him one day, hey, do you have an old tripod you're not using? And voila, an old tripod. Can we please come out without chips? No, we cannot. Yeah, look at that. That's kind of chippy. So, unlike yesterday, I'm going to put a little super glue on there. Now I'm going to be resurfacing this fretboard. It's a little, it needs freshening up. Plus, I don't know how level it is. It's not a very thick fretboard, so I have to be careful. This was, I mentioned in the last part of the video that I thought this was, looking at the serial number off the top of my head, I thought it was a 97. It's a 2007 American Standard Strat. It's got a biflex truss rod. And it's a 9.5 inch radius. I was really hoping it was at least 12. But it's a 9.5 inch radius. I don't really like tight radiuses on necks. This isn't bad though. But I really dislike like the old 7 1/4. And it's not good for bending strings. But I will say I had a 1972 Fender Mustang guitar, and all original frets and everything, and the frets had gotten, I guess, worn maybe to a flatter radius up on the neck, and bending was really nice on that guitar. It was a real nice guitar to play. It was easy to bend strings on it. I think I will add a little solder here because it's not conducting heat well. Oh, there we go. Now I see bubbling. I just want to see a little bubbling coming out from the under the fret. This is just I don't know if these were glued in. I mean, usually frets are glued in, but I don't know. But that's loosens things up a little. Also smells really nice. The rosewood smells like roses, which is why it's called rosewood. Because it certainly doesn't look like roses. I don't like that fret puller. Come on, you can do it. So I'm going to remove the frets and level the fretboard. Oh, that was much nicer with less chipping. Level the fretboard. And I'm going to put in bigger frets. I don't remember the last time I've removed frets from a neck and had the fretboard chip so much. And I'm reminding myself it's a 20-year-old neck, but still. And 2 more to go. Yeah, some of these frets just come right out. And some of them don't want to come out. They like where they're living, and they want to just stay there with mommy and daddy. They don't want to go out and venture into the world. Well, there you go, little fret. You're free. And the last one. Ta-da! All 22 frets removed. Now it's time to adjust the neck straight, which actually, you can't see what I'm doing. I'm looking to see if it's, yeah, I had already adjusted it. And I'm going to sand the fretboard level. So, looking at this, it still has a bit of an up bow. So I'm going to tighten the truss rod a little more. Okay. So I'm going to sand the fretboard with my leveling beam. You can see where I'm sanding a bit more up here, and it's kind of missing in here, and that's because of the little hump. I'm not worried about the radius because I'm following what's here already. Keeping an eye on where I'm hitting, where I'm not hitting. I remember when I got to hang out with Ken Parker and was talking over various concerns I had with building. One of them was fretboard radius. And he said, yeah, don't worry about it. He said, take a plane and plane the radius in and get it as close as you want it, and that's as good as it is. It didn't really matter to him how accurate the radius is. And that always kind of stuck with me. Now, I don't even have to like put pencil on this because you can see the shiny parts, which are too low. So there's a little dip right here, and it's sticking up over here. Oh, whoops, hit the tripod. I'll focus a little more right here. A level fretboard is a very important thing to have if you want nice low action. I had a client back in the 80s. He bought a brand new American Standard Strat, very similar to this. He was a shredder, and he was unhappy with the action. This was a Strat that had, it probably had a humbucker and at the bridge and, you know, jumbo frets and the whole bit. So it was definitely a shredder type Strat. It wasn't a vintage type guitar. And he wasn't happy with the action on it. Nice piece of rosewood. So I told him I'll do a fret level. And I noticed even for a brand new guitar, he had just bought it, the fretboard was not totally level. It was acceptable. I think most people would have played that guitar and thought, oh, that's, you know, this guitar's nice, plays good. But, you know, he wanted really low action. So I told him, well, I can remove the frets, level the fretboard, and, you know, put new frets in. And he said, you know, go ahead and do that. I mean, when I leveled the frets, I got the action much lower than it was. But, you know, he wanted it even lower. So I took my time, like I'm doing now, and I got the fretboard very level. And I put in new frets. I think I put in, they were jumbo frets. I don't know if I put in bigger frets than he had, but we put in jumbo frets, and I took my time and leveled the frets. And the action was so low on that guitar that I didn't like playing it. And I like low action. I mean, you could pretty much just blow on the strings and they'd play. And he got it, and he's like, oh, wow. He's like, could you maybe raise the action up a little bit? It's a little too low. So I did. But I mean, every note played perfectly. There was no buzzes, nothing fretted out. It's just you have to take your time and do it. And that's the difference between, there are a whole lot of really nice, inexpensive guitars. I had a Firefly in here, a couple of Fireflies, I think. Or a Firefly and another brand I don't remember the name of. And there's some of they might all be made by Cort or that other large guitar maker, World Guitar Maker or whatever they're called, that used to make the PRS SE guitars. Now Cort makes those, Cortec. There's a lot of really nice, inexpensive guitars on the market. But the thing that separates a lot of that is, you know, they can't sell the guitar really cheap and also do really good fretwork, because the fretwork is time consuming. I mean, there's really no way out of it. To get a really nice playing guitar, you just have to spend the time and make sure your fretboard's level. This is why I don't use, I use epoxy for fretboard, glue fretboards on. And generally the glue, if I have neck laminations, I use epoxy. And the reason I do that is I don't want to introduce water into the fretboard or the neck. Because then, you know, as the glue cures, it cures by the water evaporating, and it can't evaporate inside a joint, so it will be absorbed by the wood. What happens when you put water in wood, the wood swells, and you end up with a wavy fretboard. That looks nice and flat. Yeah, this is good. There's no hump. I don't see any light through there at all. So I think that's it. I think this is a nicely leveled fretboard. See, it took me about an hour to remove the frets, and I shouldn't blow all that dust off because we might want to use some of it. It's all collected here. Took me about 45 minutes to pull the frets, also because I was gabbing, and it took me another 8 minutes, it looks like, to level the fretboard. And this was, I don't know what this was. Might be 240 grit I have on there. I'm not sure. I'll probably go over with, I will go over with finer grits, and also maybe see how the edge of the fretboard is. I don't want a really sharp edge, but if you're going to roll the edge of your fretboard, you have to do it after your frets are in. Otherwise, your frets don't really have a place to sit. Get some of this rosewood dust out there, which I will save and use for, I'm going to use that for, can't do two things at once. Talk and rub the neck. Use that for filling up some of the chips, but that's a nice looking piece of Indian rosewood on that neck, and that's nice and flat now. And I don't hate the 9.5-inch radius either. So that's next step would be get some frets in there. What I've had to do was go in and make every one of these fret slots deeper. And I'm checking it with one of these little Stumaki gauges. And that can go down just a little more. So I was actually doing this on my lap, but I can't film it that way. I obviously I've done this many frets already, not on camera, because doing it on the camera is a pain in the ass. But just to show you what's going on here, the slots were not. I leveled the fretboard, which made the slots shallower, and then I couldn't get the new fret wire to seat all the way. It wasn't staying down in the middle. So what I've done now is, and it's unfortunately slightly smaller fret wire. I was using my really big fret wire, but I don't want to use any more of that just because I didn't want to waste it, because I have some for the bass neck I'm working on, and I don't feel like ordering more. But this is jumbo fret wire. This is Stumaki wire. So now I have it, so you can see the two lines, or maybe you can't. The two lines on the little depth gauge are right up to there, so that should work. Now we're back over at the press. So I'm doing the usual thing. First, I have to cut the tang back a little. And how's that looking? That's looking good. I have these all radiused to roughly 9.5 inches, just like the fretboard. It's not over radiused. If it is, it's very, very slightly, but I tried to get it as close as possible so I don't have to deal with spring back. And I am using the fractal fret press, which is working really good. I thought it wasn't pressing the frets down in the middle the first time, but that was because I was having the problems with the oversprung fret wire not being held into the fretboard. And wipe some of the glue off. And that's seated very nicely. So then I'm cutting these off as I go, just to make it a little neater. I've had these StewMac fret nippers for a long time. You can see I have a big chip in the middle when I tried to cut some stainless steel fret wire with them. And they tell you not to do that, but I did it. So I'm continuing on like this. I'm going to take it back. I'm going to saw the fret slot a little deeper and check it, and then continue on until I get all the frets in. But this is actually going very well. The frets are all nicely seated. The very first one, I forgot to cut the fret tangs off, but you know, oh well. It'll be just like Fender's fret jobs. And we'll take it from there.